Most people never actually grieve. They perform it. They survive it. They distract themselves from it. But they never truly face it. And if you stay with me, you will understand why that is, and why the way you've been trying to cope might be the very thing keeping you stuck. Because grief is not what you think it is. It's not just sadness. It's not just crying at night. It's not just missing someone. It's an identity collapse. And if you don't recognize that early, grief will quietly rebuild you into someone smaller. You felt it the moment everything changed. That split second when reality didn't feel real. When your brain tries to negotiate with time. When you thought, this can't be happening. But it did. And since then, you've been living in two worlds. The world where they existed. And the world where they don't. That split is exhausting. Nobody talks about that exhaustion. They talk about strength. About being strong. About staying positive. About time healing everything. Time doesn't heal. Time exposes. It exposes whether you are numbing or processing. Whether you are surviving or transforming. Whether you are shrinking or expanding. Here's the uncomfortable part, most people choose numbness because feeling fully feels like it might destroy them. And maybe you've done that too. You kept busy. You scrolled. You worked more. You smiled when expected. You avoided certain songs. Certain streets. Certain memories. You thought avoiding the pain was protecting you. It wasn't. Grief avoided becomes grief delayed. And delayed grief compounds. Like interest. Except that the debt is emotional. You don't pay it once. You pay it slowly, in irritation. In disconnection. In sudden waves that hit at random. In relationships, you sabotage because closeness now feels dangerous. Because here's what grief does that no one prepares you for, it makes love feel risky. You loved? You lost? Your brain learned? And your nervous system whispers, don't get attached again. That's the silent damage. Not the tears. The contraction. You stop risking connection. You stop dreaming as big. You stop expecting good things. You lower the emotional volume of your life so the next loss won't shatter you as much. It feels safer. It isn't. And this is where most people make their first critical mistake, they try to move on. Move on to what? The person you were before this happened no longer exists. Grief is not something you move on from. It's something you move with. But if you try to outrun it, it will follow you. In your sleep. In your silence. In the quiet moments when distractions fade. You've felt that, haven't you? That sudden wave. No warning. No permission. Just there? That's not a weakness. That's unfinished processing. Your mind replays memories not to torture you, but to integrate the new reality. To rewrite the story of your life with a missing character. And that takes longer than people are comfortable admitting. Here's where it escalates. If you suppress grief long enough, it doesn't disappear. It transforms into anger, into anxiety, into control issues, into perfectionism, into emotional numbness that feels like depression. And then you think something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Something happened to you. But here's the part you may not want to hear. Grief is not only about who you lost. It's about who you were when they were here. That version of you is gone too. The inside jokes. The routines. The way your voice sounded when you spoke to them. The future you imagined. All of it shattered. You are not just grieving a person. You are grieving a timeline. And until you admit that, you will keep trying to fix feelings that are actually signals. Signals that something meaningful mattered. Pain is the echo of love. And the intensity of your grief is proportional to the depth of your attachment. So what do you do with that? Most advice tells you to accept it. To sit with it. To journal. To talk about it. That's surface level. Here's the deeper truth. You don't deal with grief by reducing it. You deal with grief by expanding yourself. Stay with that. When loss shrinks your world, your instinct is to contract. To protect. To minimize risk. But healing requires the opposite. Expansion. Not replacing the person. Not erasing the memory. Not pretending you're fine. Expanding your capacity to hold both love and loss at the same time. This is the part nobody explains clearly. Grief is not a problem to solve. It's a capacity to grow. Right now, it feels like too much. Too heavy. Too overwhelming. That's because your emotional container is the same size it was before the loss. So it spills over. But if you intentionally grow, emotionally, relationally, spiritually, the grief doesn't disappear. It fits. That's the shift. You stop trying to eliminate the pain. You start becoming someone who can carry it without collapsing. And that requires something terrifying. You have to feel it fully. Not occasionally. Not when it ambushes you. Intentionally. That means sitting still when your instinct is to run. Letting the memory play without pushing it away. Allowing the tears without judging them. Not performing strength for anyone. Alone, sometimes. Raw. Unfiltered. And here's where the stakes rise again. If you don't consciously process grief, your body will. Through tension? Through fatigue? Through insomnia? Through unexplained emotional reactions years later. Your nervous system keeps score. But when you face it, when you allow the pain without trying to control it, something subtle happens. It stops being chaotic. It becomes structured. Predictable. You begin to notice patterns. Triggers. Waves that rise and fall instead of drowning you. You realize something powerful: you are not breaking. You are integrating. Remember earlier when we talked about identity collapse? This is where that loop closes. Grief dismantles who you were. But it also gives you the raw material to consciously choose who you become next. Most people let grief unconsciously redesign them, smaller, guarded, less open. You can choose differently. You can let grief make you more honest. More intentional. More appreciative of impermanence. More courageous in connection because you now understand how fragile it is. That doesn't make the pain disappear. It makes the pain meaningful. And meaning transforms suffering. Here's the biggest insight, the one that only makes sense after everything we've walked through: the goal is not to feel better. The goal is to become deeper. Feeling better is temporary. Depth is permanent. When you allow grief to expand you instead of shrink you, You develop emotional range most people never access. You feel joy more intensely because you understand loss. You love more consciously because you understand fragility. You speak more honestly because you understand time is limited. That is not motivational fluff. That is neurological reality. Adversity reshapes neural pathways. It either reinforces fear circuits or strengthens resilience circuits. The difference is engagement. Avoidance feeds fear. Presence builds resilience. So the question isn't, how do I stop hurting? The real question is, who am I becoming through this? And that question shifts everything. Because, suddenly grief is not an enemy. It's a doorway. A brutal one. But a doorway. You walk through it, not around it. And on the other side, you are not the same. You are heavier in some ways. Softer in others. Less naive. More awake. You stop wasting time on trivial conflicts. You stop postponing important conversations. You stop assuming you have forever. Loss teaches urgency. And urgency clarifies priorities. That's empowerment, not the loud, performative kind, but the quiet, grounded kind. The kind where you look at your life and realize you are no longer sleepwalking. You are choosing. And that choice is the final closure to the first tension we opened. Most people never actually grieve. They're numb. They shrink. They distract. But you stayed. You faced the uncomfortable truth that grief is identity reconstruction. That avoidance compounds pain. That contraction feels safe but costs you depth. And now you understand something most never will: grief is not the end of love. It is love with nowhere to go. So you give it somewhere to go. Into growth. Into courage. Into connection. Into a life lived more deliberately because you now understand what losing it feels like. That's how you deal with grief. Not by escaping it. By expanding until it no longer owns you. And when the wave comes again, because it will, you won't panic. You'll recognize it. You'll breathe. You'll let it rise. You'll let it fall. And you'll remain standing. Different. Deeper. Still here.